You know it's officially F1 season when the first major controversy hits the paddock. This time, it's another case of teams possibly bending the rules to their advantage. The spotlight is once again on McLaren, with accusations that they've revived their old mini DRS trick from last season. But here's the real twist. Ferrari might be doing it too. What exactly is going on? And how will the FIA respond? Let's break it all down. The drama started brewing during pre-season testing in Bahrain when sharp-eyed analysts noticed some suspicious movements in the rear wings of both McLaren and Ferrari. This immediately set off alarm bells, as the phenomenon looked eerily similar to last year's controversy. Back then, McLaren was accused of exploiting a flexible wing design to gain a straight-line speed advantage. But now, it's not just them. Ferrari appears to have joined the party, and Red Bull is definitely not amused. During last week's testing, Ferrari's team principal, Fred Vasseur, and Red Bull's Christian Horner, who rarely see eye to eye, actually agreed on something. They both praised the FIA's efforts to clarify flexible front wing regulations. But just as that chapter seemed to be closing, new onboard footage surfaced, showing questionable rear wing behavior on both McLaren and Ferrari's cars. An unnamed team principal, who is clearly keeping a close eye on this, spoke to the media about the potential rule breaking. Looking at the videos, we've seen some of the rear wings out there appear to be quite flexible. It is something we are keeping a very close eye on. And by some of the rear wings, they pretty much mean McLaren and Ferrari. This whole mini DRS saga first kicked off last season when McLaren was suspected of using a mechanism that increased the slot gap in their rear wing at high speeds, effectively acting as a secondary drag reduction system. This allowed the car to cut through the air with less resistance, gaining an extra boost down the straights. It was a clever trick, until rival teams caught on and complained to the FIA, forcing McLaren to make changes. Now, history might be repeating itself. Reports suggest Ferrari and McLaren may have found a way to make the entire rear wing structure rotate slightly backward under aerodynamic load, achieving a similar effect. Red Bull's technical director, Pierre Walsh, isn't convinced that the issue was ever resolved, stating, "It is still going on. I think Ferrari and McLaren are doing the mini DRS stuff still." Here's the catch. Pre-season testing isn't subject to full FIA compliance checks, meaning teams can push the boundaries without immediate consequences. But once the cars hit the track for the official start of the 2025 season in Melbourne, any rule breaking could lead to protests, forced modifications, or even penalties. Walsh believes this issue will become unavoidable at the Australian Grand Prix. It will be an issue. It is quite visible. And he's not wrong. The FIA has already attempted to clamp down on these rear wing shenanigans before. After McLaren's controversial rear wing design caused a stir at the 2024 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the governing body made key changes to the regulations. The allowed slot gap width was reduced from 10-15 mm to 9.4 to 13 mm, and a new rule was added stating that DRS bodywork must stay in either a fully open or fully closed position, eliminating any possibility of gradual flexing. In simple terms, no more sneaky adjustments. The DRS needs to be binary, it's either on or off. Article 3.10.10 of the F1 technical regulations makes this crystal clear. Except in the event of a DRS failure or transitioning from one position to the other, the DRS bodywork can have only two positions, such that the DRS bodywork position must be the same before and after each state of deployment. The transition time between the two positions must be less than 400 milliseconds. Despite these measures, if Ferrari and McLaren have indeed found a loophole, things could get messy very quickly. A deeper analysis suggests that Ferrari and McLaren's rear wings might be mounted in such a way that under high-speed aerodynamic load, the entire structure tilts backward slightly, creating an unintended DRS effect. This could explain why their slot gap appears more pronounced compared to other teams. Observations indicate that while most teams have a slight curvature leading to the rear wing, McLaren and Ferrari's wings appear almost flat at certain angles. This could be their secret formula for squeezing out extra straight-line speed. With the first race of the season fast approaching, all eyes will be on the FIA to see whether they take action against McLaren and Ferrari. If teams lodge formal protests in Melbourne, we could see a full-scale investigation and potential rule clarifications. just like what happened last year. McLaren has already been through this once before. After making adjustments to comply with FIA demands, they surely know the risks of getting caught. As for Ferrari, this wouldn't be their first time navigating a technical controversy, and it likely won't be their last. Red Bull was expected to be the one to expose this issue, and given their current performance, they might actually have a reason to be concerned. For the first time in years, they might be feeling the heat. Max Verstappen wrapped up pre-season testing in Bahrain with mixed emotions, admitting there's still work to do before the season kicks off. His new teammate, Liam Lawson, handled double shifts before Verstappen took charge of the final round of testing in the Sakha Desert, putting the RB21 through its paces. By the end of the day, the reigning four-time world champion clocked the second fastest time, just 0.021 seconds behind Mercedes' George Russell after completing 81 laps. "I think we had a decent day today," Verstappen reflected. "There were a few little problems, but overall, we got through a good chunk of what we needed to." While second place in testing isn't a disaster, Verstappen wasn't exactly celebrating. It wasn't bad, but at the same time, there's still a bit of work to do. It's what we expected though, so we'll keep working, keep trying to improve, and hopefully, by Melbourne, we'll have a clearer picture of where we stand. Meanwhile, Red Bull's technical director, Pierre Watch, admitted he wasn't fully satisfied with how the RB21 responded at times. "The car didn't react quite how we wanted, and the improvements weren't as big as expected. That's something we'll need to work on for the first race and beyond." But back to the main topic. Whether or not the FIA cracks down will depend on just how much of a performance advantage this trick is providing. If McLaren and Ferrari suddenly find themselves consistently topping the speed traps in Melbourne, expect protests to come flying in faster than a Red Bull on a straight. With the FIA constantly tightening regulations to prevent flexible aerodynamics, it remains to be seen whether Ferrari and McLaren will have to modify their designs before the Australian Grand Prix. Given that the governing body has already set precedents with previous rear-wing controversies, they'll be watching this situation very closely. So, what do you think? Have Ferrari and McLaren actually found a clever loophole? Or are they just operating within the grey areas of the rules? And if the FIA steps in, could this be the first major scandal of the 2025 season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 insights. See you in the next one.